Hi everyone, and welcome to the General Hospital recap for August 25th. As always, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any videos or recaps. And also, I'm just about all caught up. I have one more miniature mass upload of 3 videos that's going to happen after this. So let's get right to it. At Crimson, Valentine made dinner reservations for his, answer dinner with Nina. Valentine finally leaves, and Nina asks Nell to come in as soon as Valentine is in the elevator. Nina tells Nell to get her 10 sample dresses for tonight. She needs to look better than she's ever looked in her entire life. So I'm gonna go on a limb and say it's not a no. But again, I articulated my feelings in the end of last video, so if you want to go check that out. If she went back to Valentine because she honestly wants to be with Valentine, whether or not I'm okay, whether or not I think it's a good relationship, that's fine. But if she goes back to Valentine because Valentine manipulated her and used Charlotte to manipulate her, not fine. And I feel like it's more like this. Nina goes through the 10 sample dresses and none are up to par apparently, and something is wrong in the fashion world. Nell gets off the phone and is like, something bad has happened. Nina is trying to put out the fire that's happening over in the fashion emergency, and turns out that there's a photo shoot going horribly wrong and they need Nina there, and she's like, well, I'm already sending a replacement, but they're like, no, we need you here. So Nina is sending Nell there too. This is damage control. The flight leaves in 2 hours, but her dinner was Valentine, and also they are going to Morocco. Hey, I've never been out of the country. I've never been out of the continental United States. There's so many places I haven't been. But this time last year I was in Montana, and I was going to upload the Montana videos that I never uploaded. Alright, those will go up this month as like the year anniversary. Anyway, at Lante's, Lulu has food set up and she's in a Yankees shirt. Oh, I had a Yankees jacket that I got at a thrift stop that's apparently like a 90s vintage jacket. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And she has the hat on and the bat, and I just love her so much. Oh, and don't forget the black paint under the... She's basically like a Yankee. Lulu is a Yankee. She brought the ballpark to him and he's like, where are the kids? And she's like, well, Valentine has Charlotte and Olivia has Rocco, so they're all alone. But they're also Lulu and Dante. So if you were there for the beginnings of Lulu and Dante, you know what's about to happen next. There's a knock at the door. Of course there is. I would expect nothing less, to be quite honest with you. This is their first night alone in 3 weeks. Of course there's a knock at the door. It's Valentine and Charlotte, strangely enough. So Charlotte's gonna stay there for the night, apparently. Valentine is being super cryptic as to why things will get better, but apparently things will be better for them in the long run too, because this stuff is happening, and the conversation turns to custody. He believes he would get full custody back and he could leave with Charlotte and they'd never see her again, and if Lulu fights she would lose, which I don't see why, because now Charlotte's kind of bonded with her, so the court wouldn't be all super reliant on Charlotte like they were last time, and now Lulu's had sole custody, so it puts her and Valentine on an even playing ground. But whatever. But Valentine has a scenario where no one loses, and he'll definitely stay in Port Charles, and then he can be a united front to the judge and continue their shared custody. Valentine leaves. He's really full of himself, and it's like the higher they climb, the harder they fall. So we'll see. And Charlotte is asleep. Her and Dante talk about strategy. They have to be careful because Valentine is very good, has a lot of money at his disposal, and probably could take Charlotte away if he really wanted to. At the Metro Court, Nina runs up to Valentine real fast at a table and is like, I have to cancel dinner for tonight. There is a fashion emergency in Morocco and I have to go. At the Quartermains, Kiki is studying by the pool. Dylan wants to have drinks and have fun, but she wants to get into the accelerated pre-med program, and if she fails the test, then she'll have to wait till next year. He's not giving up that easily though. Seems to be a little bit of not a rift between them, but just like he wants to have fun and she's like, I gotta study, and he wants her to find time for their relationship. And I'm feeling like Rossi vibes here from Friends. And she's like, oh, well then why don't you quit your job and then we'll have plenty of time for our relationship. And he's like, why would I quit my job? And she's like, well, studying, look at it like that's my job. That's what I have to do. So alright, he gets it now. So he's not as Rossi as I was thinking. But I didn't want him to be, because that was not the good part of Ross. Nina wants him to fly to Morocco tonight. Does Kiki want to come? Apparently models walked off because of an inappropriate photographer. Kiki can't go though because she has to study. And I'm like, girl, bring your books. Like, I know it'll be a little bit more distracting, but Dylan's going to be working there the majority of the time. So go enjoy the flight. You're going to need a break anyway. Bring the books and then study in Morocco while he's, you know, doing his thing. Like, I don't see why she couldn't do that, to be quite honest with you. Because that's what I would have done, but I don't fly. But if I did, that's what I would have done. And he tells her to ace the test then. Also at the Quartermaines, Ned closes the blinds and gives Dylan and Kiki their privacy. Michael ominously comes in. He thinks Ned is planning a takeover or something. Ned made a decision to donate to Mayor Lomax to help their fracking operations, apparently, which is two things that Michael's like, no. Michael doesn't want the company associated with the mayor or with fracking because he's trying to move into a clean energy thing. But it was just this one thing. Michael warns him about laying groundwork for a takeover, and he's not going to let ELQ go that easily. Like, Michael will fight for it. He also feels that the decisions Ned made conflicts with the policy that he's setting up with ELQ. And Ned's like, but fracking's really lucrative. But he does realize that he should have consulted Michael because it is Michael's vision they're going with since he's the CEO. He has no desire to take ELQ for his own. That's not what Ned's looking for. So Michael apologizes for overreacting. He knows this clean energy is a risk, but he feels like it'll work out in the long term, which I totally agree. Because, like, clean energy is ready to go whenever the world feels like doing it. Like, there's plenty. There's solar. There's wind. We passed, well, I was the only one on the trip. Oh, that's so weird. But on the train, and maybe this will be in the video that I put up, I passed this beautiful wind farm in Ohio or Indiana. Like, it was absolutely gorgeous. The windmills, they went for miles. It was amazing. So I don't understand how people say windmills are an eyesore, because honestly, they're beautiful. So I fully believe in Michael's vision for ELQ, because one day the opposition to clean energy won't be there, and you're going to want to be on the ground floor of all the operations that are happening now. Michael's thinking that maybe Ned can come work for him at ELQ, maybe as VP of new business. He'll give him time to think about it though. Ned tells Dylan about the ELQ offer. He has a very different vision than Michael, because Ned's more about money now, like money to keep the company going, which I'm not saying he's wrong. Like, obviously you need money to keep your company going if you want to invest in these good things. He has a very different vision than Michael. Dylan tells him to get over it if it's pride, and that Michael isn't going to demean him. He's offering this job to bring the family back together. Like, this truly is a new chapter in Quartermaines. Back at Crimson, Michael comes to pick up Nell, and she's like, oh my goodness, I totally forgot, but there's an emergency Morocco trip. Which, honestly, why can't I have an emergency Morocco trip? Even an emergency, like, Florida trip. Like, oh my god, Carly, you got to get to Florida now. Okay, I'm going. He asks if he can come along. He can check out some ELQ holdings in Northern Africa. And she's like, sounds good to me. At the courtroom, Ava and Griffin come into the courtroom, but they did not come together. He came to see the verdict because, you know, obviously Julian's connection with his father, and to offer Ava support. Alexis thinks it's good news that the judge came back so fast, so court is in session, and I am totally invested. Count of conspiracy in the second degree, guilty. On the count of hindering prosecution, guilty. Criminal facilitation, guilty. Guilty on all counts. Sentencing is in 4 weeks, and Scott wants Julian free on bail, but Julian requests that they do sentencing right now because he doesn't want his family to suffer anymore. He doesn't want anything up in the air. The prosecution's like, yeah, I got all the victim impact statements, so let's go. So let's get started. Julian wants to make a statement. He isn't requesting leniency. He regrets all the pain he caused. It's worse than any punishment the court could impose. His family deserves a better life without him, and to keep him away from his family. The judge is ready to, like, they didn't really even need the victim impact statements. The judge is ready to impose a sentence. The threatening of Rudge did do damage, like huge damage. He's obviously a danger to everyone. He's sentenced to Pentonville for 15 to 20 years. This is like the worst thing that could have happened. Absolutely. I know people have a lot of feelings about Julian, and mine are extremely biased because William DeVry did help us. So I feel like if you don't like Julian, you're thrilled right now, but if you do like Julian, you're like devastated. Alexis is taking it really hard, and Ava's taking it hard too. Alexis asks the bailiff to wait before taking Julian. Julian wants her to move on and forget about him. They kiss, and I'm like really sad, but I am, I'm just about as sad as Alexis, to be quite honest with you, because she is beside herself. Ava can't leave the courtroom. She's lamenting. She thinks that Julian was putting on a show for Alexis with the whole keep me away from my family, this, that, and the other thing. And she's relating his imprisonment to hers, how she's imprisoned herself in her penthouse. Okay, first, she thinks Julian was just gesturing, and now he's going to be hit with the reality of being in jail for 15 to 20 years. But the thing that got me, so she's like, oh, he was gesturing, this, that, and the other thing, blah, blah, blah. But she wouldn't know taking responsibility if it hit her across the face. Like, Julian took responsibility for his part, the fact that, yes, even though he was coerced, he did do the things. Like, he's taken his punishment, he's taking responsibility. Meanwhile, she can't take responsibility for what she did to Morgan. She can't, because if she honestly felt as bad about Morgan as she claims, she would have been on trial or in Pentonville right now. I know, I don't like Ava, and I say that outright. She's not my favorite character in the world. I feel like I try to be as objective and diplomatic as possible because everyone who watches our videos feels different ways about all the characters. But I can't help myself with the whole, oh, he was just, like, she wouldn't know how to take responsibility. She isn't responsible for anything she's ever done. And I think that's a part of me that is bothered how Griffin is trying to help her and see something in her, because she doesn't deserve him. She doesn't. She absolutely does not deserve a person like Griffin in her life. And she will hurt him eventually. Absolutely. I'm convinced she will hurt him eventually. And not this whole, like, trying to push him away, saying things. Like, something bad's going to happen. I can feel it. It's right here. So the news crew comes into the courtroom, and that's, like, literally Ava's worst nightmare, because there's cameras, oh, it's bad. So not end scene. The news is trying to talk to Ava, and she tells them to leave her alone. Griffin tries to get them away, and then the news guy, because he is a callous human being, is like, oh, let's get a shot of her face. Like, let's get a shot of her face. And Griffin pushes the cameraman down to the ground, and then the reporter guy is like, you just assaulted my cameraman, you just assaulted me. And then Ava yells that she'll sue them out of their mind if they don't leave right now. And they run away, and Griffin is like, welcome back, the real Ava Jerome. But that is not the Ava Jerome you want to welcome back. She will hurt you, Griffin. Absolutely. And I feel very protective of Griffin because I know him from Supernatural, so those are where my biases are. Scott finds Alexis outside of Perks. He hates to lose, and she thinks she was wrong and Julian shouldn't have testified. But he says that whether or not he testified wasn't going to make a difference because he threatened to Rudge, and that was the end. That was the end. And Scott wants to appeal, and she doesn't see any grounds for appeal. But hey, it's the American court system. You can appeal anything you want. You can do anything you want. Scott thinks that Alexis should talk to Julian, and she's like, no, he wants me to move on. He's not going to agree to see me. Julian gets locked up. Orange is the new Julian. Hey! Dylan will be gone for a few days. Kiki will be here when he gets back with no review books, and I'm just having this, like, weird sinking feeling, but I think it's just not. I don't think it's anything. I'm just going to put it over here. It's out of the frame. Ned calls Michael. He will come back to ELQ, but no scheming or backstabbing. And Michael's like, yeah, I hope not. And Michael asks Ned to sit in for him while he's gone because he's checking on the North African holdings. Sounds good to him. Dante's not worried about Valentine. They know his game. He showed his cards 100 times. So there's going to be nothing new to deal with. They already know everything he could throw at them. And he'll screw up again one day, and this time he won't be able to avoid responsibility. Nina can't give Valentine an answer right now. Something came up at work. He wants to know an answer now, but she's like, no. But it seems like a yes, because she would just tell him no if it was no. Like, I don't know what game she thinks she's playing. Maybe she wants to, like, set up this whole thing, but I just can't. But I like that she's annoying him, though. And I think he's going to book a trip to Morocco, too, so that he can see her. And that is my prediction that I'm pretty sure came true. Alright, so that is it for the 26th General Hospital recap. I will see you in 2 seconds for more General Hospital, and I hope you have a great day. Bye!